Welcome to Module 3 of the online optional practical training workshop. In the previous two modules, we talked about what OPT is and what you need to do to file your OPT application. In the third module, we will describe what happens after you file for your OPT, the basic rules you have to follow while being on OPT, including unemployment and travel, and also review some frequently asked questions about optional practical training. Let's revisit the checklist of forms that you need to apply. You start with completed Academic Advisor Recommendation Form. It is required for OIPS to issue your new I-20, which recommends you for an OPT, but you do not send it to USCIS. You need to receive, sign, and date your new I-20. And you need to complete the original form I-765 that you download from uscis.gov. Checklist of copies you should make includes copy of your passport biographical page showing your photo and passport expiration date. Copy of your F1 visa. Photocopies of all previously issued I-20s. Photocopy of I-94, front and back if you have it. If you do not have a I-94, please refer to Module 2. Photocopy of Change of Status I-797 Approval Notice. Photocopies of any previously issued employment authorization cards. In addition, you need to take 2 passport-style photos with I-94 number and full name printed lightly in pencil on back of photos, and a check or money order for current I-765 fee. Where are you mailing your OPT packet? You need to mail your entire OPT application packet to United States Citizenship and Immigration Services at one of the addresses below. For regular USPS delivery, use address in Dallas, Texas. For express mail delivery, use address in Louisville, Texas. Remember, USCIS must receive your application within 30 days from the issue date on your I-20. Do not wait to mail it. Also, please keep in mind that your application cannot be expedited. We strongly encourage you to apply for OPT in a timely manner, but no more than 90 days prior to completion of studies date. Remember, you don't have to have a job to apply. What happens next after you mail out your application? Within several weeks, you will receive a Notice of Action, Form I-797, which serves as an official receipt of your application and means that USCIS began processing your OPT authorization. On your receipt notice, in the top left corner, there is your case number, which you can use to track the status of your application online. You should also look for a receipt notice date. This is the date when USCIS received your application, and from that date begins your 90-day processing period. You are waiting for your OPT card, but instead receive a document titled Request for Evidence, usually referred to as RFE. That usually means that there is a problem with your application. In this case, you should contact OIPS immediately and talk to an advisor to get help responding to your RFE. Note that RFE is not a rejection notice. You just need to send in additional documents before your EAD card can be issued. Please note the deadline to respond to the RFE. If you fail to meet this deadline, your application will be automatically canceled and you will have to file a new application with a new fee. Getting an RFE will delay the processing of your application for OPT. For this reason, it is important to make sure that you have completed the I-765 correctly and sent the proper documents to USCIS. Once you are approved for OPT, USCIS will mail the EAD card to the address you indicated on your I-765 application. Remember, you are required to obtain your EAD card before beginning employment, paid or unpaid. Now, let's review the reporting requirements for the duration of your employment on OPT. During OPT, you are required to report your employer's name and address. Report any changes to your address. Since your Patriot Web account might not be available to you after graduation, you should submit your updates from OIPS website at the link provided on your screen. If you are planning to travel, don't forget to have your OPT I-20 signed by an OIPS advisor. You should continue your health insurance coverage while on OPT. Remember, there is no limit on how much money you can make, how many jobs you can have, and how many hours you can work. However, you must work for a minimum of 20 hours a week while on OPT. If you cannot find a job while on OPT, remember, OPT is an employment benefit for the F1 status, and you must maintain eligible employment on OPT. Your employment must be at least 20 hours per week, average out to 20 hours a week in a month in the case of variable appointments, and at the appropriate degree level in the field of study as noted on your I-20. Unemployment is limited to 90 calendar days during the initial 12 months of post-completion OPT, including weekends and holidays. Exceeding this limit could negatively impact your future immigration benefits. Unemployment is counted from approved OPT start date, referred to dates on EAD card, even if you have not received your EAD card. 90 days of unemployment do not have to be consecutive. For example, if you are unemployed for 1 month, and that counts as 30 days, then find a job and work for 6 months. After being unemployed for another 2 months, you will reach your limit. If you do not have an eligible OPT employment, no 60-day grace period applies. You must leave the U.S. immediately. Internships, unpaid positions, and part-time work do count as employment. Remember to report employment changes within 10 days. Always request an employment verification letter from employer even if the position is unpaid. Your letter should include position title and description, dates of employment, number of hours per week employed, supervisor's name and contact information. Now, let's talk about travel while you are on OPT. Keep in mind that anyone may exit the U.S., but your re-entry is never assured. For safe travel, remember that you must have I-20 signed every 6 months while on OPT, your employment authorization document, OPT card, and your job offer or employment letter. This is more important the further you are into OPT. To return back to continue your employment, your F1 visa must be unexpired. Your passport should be valid at least up to 6 months into the future. Visa status on OPT. While you are not technically a student anymore, you are still in F1 visa status and you must maintain it, complying with all the rules and regulations in this presentation. Remember that your status is contingent on your employment. Students often ask us if they can study while on OPT. This is one of the gray areas in F1 visa regulations. The most conservative advice is not to enter a program of study at the next academic level during your OPT. The most flexible advice is not to enroll in a full-time program. You should remember that the start of your new academic program will automatically cancel your OPT. Let's review a few other questions that students on OPT often ask their international advisors. When can I start working? You may begin working once you get your OPT card or on your start date, whichever is later. Can I work on campus until I get my card? You cannot keep working on campus after you complete your program, without OPT and outside your field of study or in a student classified position. Can I travel before I get my EAD card? It is better not to travel while you are waiting for your EAD card. Can I renew my visa while on OPT? While it is possible to renew your F1 visa based on participation in OPT, we do not recommend visa renewals on OPT towards the end of your OPT period because the non-immigrant intent could be difficult to prove at that point. After your OPT period ends, you have a 60-day grace period. You cannot continue working during this time unless you have filed for STEM extension or H-1B visa. Your options during this period include applying for STEM extension OPT if you are majoring in the STEM field and eligible for it. Applying for a cap gap extension if your employer has applied for an H-1B visa for you. Change your status to another visa. Enroll in another academic program of study as an F1 student and receive a new Form I-20. Or leave the United States. This completes Module 3 of the online OPT workshop. We hope you have enjoyed learning about the benefits of optional practical training for F1 student visa holders in the United States and feel comfortable about applying for an OPT. Now please close the presentation and complete quiz number 3.